All right, well, good evening, everyone. This is Thursday, September 15th, 2022, and this is the Bolton Select Board meeting. First up on our agenda is a request for the appointment of the tax collector, Michelle Carlisle, as the custodian of the town's tax possession properties. That sounds pretty good.
Mr. Chairman, this is necessary to appoint someone because we are in the process. We have taken a few properties and likely we will be taking more. And we need someone to, be the focus person, the custodian of the properties, of the process and so forth. And Michelle is our collector. Makes perfect sense for her to do that. She's highly qualified to do it.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Any questions from the rest of the members?
No questions.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I move
appoint.
to appoint Michelle Carlisle as custodian of the town's tax possession properties.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Wysocki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay,
Good luck.
thank you. Thank you. The next step is to now get the dates for the auction. So
Great.
wish me luck. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks. Good night now. All right, next up is to consider a request from the Lions Club to put up 2 A-frame signs cider donut sales at Sharpner Farm, at the Bolton Town Common, and at Intersect. Guess not. So with it.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of internet trouble. This is Andrew Keene, president of
Yes,
Bolton Lions
Stan,
Club.
you froze there for a minute.
You may have frozen again.
Oh, maybe it wasn't me.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Hi, so this is sort of standard operating principle practices. We've been selling donuts for many years, and we sell them during the weekends in September and October at Sharpner Farm, and we just like to put an A-frame out just during the time when we're there. We prop it up in the morning on Saturday, just before going down to the farm, and take it away in the evening when we're done. So it's Saturday and Sunday for about 6 weekends. It's scheduled right now through October 16, unless Eric Sharpner decides to stay open one more weekend, depending on the weather.
So when would it start?
We actually already started last weekend, but we didn't sign up because I was late to make this request. So we'll be doing it. We will be doing it this weekend.
Okay. Are these the same signs as last year, or are there some differences?
Same exact physical sign. No difference.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have anybody on the committee that went out and recreated signs.
No, we just sort of have to ask that.
That's fine. Yes. I totally understand.
Okay. All right,
I don't have anything else.
I'm fine with it.
No, all right.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I will move to approve the request from the Lions Club to put up 2 A-frame signs at Sharpner Farm and at the Bolton Town Common and the Berlin Wattaquatic Hill Road intersection from now until the weekend of October 16th inclusive.
Just one slight correction. It won't be up constantly. You said from now until. It'll just be up on the Saturday and Sunday, and for like 7 or 8 hours a day, basically.
On the weekends from now
Yes.
until October 16th.
Right.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Wysocki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, next up is we are starting to have some of the committees that report into the select board come in to give some updates. And first up Leading that charge is the Cable Advisory Committee. So we'd love to have an update and discussion. I believe we have a few folks there.
Yeah, we have four of us who are,
Uh,
yeah, it looks as if we have four of us.
What's cooking with the Cable Advisory Committee?
Well, we're in the middle of a survey. I guess that's the main thing that's going on at the moment. One of the things well, I should back up. What we're doing is getting ready for the contract renewal with Comcast. And one of the things that is needed for that, according to the state requirements and stuff, is that we collect information from the community about its needs and comments and so forth, having to do with their cable service and what Comcast does. And so what we did was to put together a survey. It's been on the street for about a month now. We had hard copies distributed at least two of, if not the third, backyard Bolton meetings. And not meetings, but the displays that were there. And we had some 25 to 30 hard copies that were filled out. It's an online survey that's available on the town's website through Cable Advisory. And we have had so far, since it went live in August, we've had about 140 or 150 people who have done the survey. So right now we're standing at about 173 responses, and we're either have or in the process of putting some hard copies in the library, at the senior center, and in the town hall, so that anybody that doesn't want to do it online has the opportunity to do that. According to the timeline that we put together that Jeff has kindly worked for us, we're leaving the survey open until about the end of this month, and then officially closing it on probably the 7th of October. And then after that, we hold a public hearing sometime in November, probably. We haven't done that, figured out the dates of that yet, to review the results of the survey with the public and to get further input that they might have. And then that leads us to doing an RFP and getting a proposal from Comcast for their next 10 years. And there's a timeline over the next 6 months to a year to get that new contract in place. I can show you a little bit of the survey if I could bring up some of the results so far, and that would acquaint you with what some of the questions are, and would maybe help to show some of the dilemmas that we place. But that's really up to you guys as to whether you want to see any of that kind of information right now, because it will all be public later on.
What kinds of issues are open to negotiation with Comcast? What's the range of things that can be negotiated?
My opinion is very little. One of the things that we get from them is funding for Bolton Access TV. And that's for both the operations of the station and for equipment. That number is, well, the operations money is basically, we've already maxed out on that percentage wise. So there's really nothing to negotiate there. We might have a little bit of room on the equipment money, but not very much. So there really isn't a whole lot that can be negotiated. And part of the problem with that is that we're basically sole source with them. They own the infrastructure, and so you can't just bring in somebody to compete against them because they would have to provide the same kind of infrastructure that Comcast put in 15 years ago or whatever it was. And so they basically do, as you would imagine, want to do what they do with other towns. And so there really isn't a whole lot where we would have leverage.
Yeah. So when you say you're going to put out an RFP, you're really only expecting one company.
That's
to
right. Yeah,
respond.
that's right. It's basically,
Okay.
yeah, I shouldn't have used the term RFP because no, it's not a plural thing at all, but they do have the opportunity to submit a proposal that has in it what provisions that they would want to have.
Okay. And has anybody ever had a successful, I mean, I was reading through the state guide on this in preparation for this. And one of the things it mentions, first off, one of the interesting things it mentions is that this cable advisory committee does not have to be only residents of Bolton. So if I would throw out there, if there's some expertise elsewhere who would be willing to help, I think I, as a board member, would be open to appointing someone from outside the town if you thought it was helpful. But it also says that you have access to other contracts that they have with other towns. And is everyone basically just got to take what they can? Or do other towns have other opportunities?
We've certainly seen and looked at a number of the other, especially recent contracts. And if we do see anything in there that is beyond what we have now that we think would be helpful, then we could certainly push for that. So I don't think that there are any towns that are way out in front as far as they have compared with us. Although I would imagine that, for example, the city of Newton, which has a major TV station and all of that, I mean, that's a city. It's a big place.
Yeah.
So it generates a lot of revenue for Comcast. They may even have competitors there for all I know. I'm not even sure. I'm just throwing that out as an example of a larger place. It's possible that a place like that would have more leverage to do something than a little town like ours that doesn't have a huge thing. Now, the problem that we really have in this, and I would include Comcast in this, is that we have basically a declining market. And if you subscribe to Consumer Reports, the front page article in this month is about cutting the cord and getting the TV that you want for less money. And that's a fact of life, and it's something that Comcast knows about and that we know about from the revenues that we get from them going down each quarter. Maybe not a lot, but going down as fewer and fewer people continue to subscribe to cable. Now, one of the things that we have in the survey, and that's what we could show you if you wanted to see it, is questions surrounding, do you get your internet from Comcast? Do you use your cable for TV or just internet? If you used to have cable and you don't, then why did you quit? And most especially, do you use streaming services? And if so, which ones? Well, the answer in almost every case is that people use other streaming services. Now they tend to use it in addition to the cable that they've got, but it incentivizes them to do less and less with Comcast. because they can get more and more from the streaming services that they get.
So,
And so
so is
we're
this
gathering some
contract,
data on that.
is this contract then just for the TV portion of Comcast or for the TV, internet and phone?
It's just for the TV. That's the other thing
Oh,
that is non-negotiable. They provide internet service, but we don't get a dime from it, and we don't really have any say in it.
okay, so
No.
this, all right, I was unaware of that wrinkle,
Yeah.
but I assumed it was for everything coming over.
Yeah,
the
and that
cable.
would be really great if that were true. Now, one
Yeah.
of the things the state is looking at is the possibility of taxing some of the streaming services so that communities would be able to get money for those who have Netflix or whatever it is that they might have to replace some of the lost revenue from people that aren't using cable anymore.
Yeah, even Comcast is getting into the streaming angle of it. Yeah.
They are. And so now we had a meeting several months ago with their relatively new government rep, and we talked a little bit about some of these things and about what what we could do together and things of that sort. But we didn't really get any answers from them about what they're doing about cutting the cord either. And so it's really a difficult thing to deal with and to really especially look years out into the future. I mean, if you go back, even if you go back to before the pandemic, but if you especially go back to when we did the contract 10 years ago, there might have been a few streaming services that were starting, but that primarily wasn't the way that people got it. Well, things have changed a lot over those 10 years. Are they going to change a lot more over the next 10? Could be, but it's a 10-year contract because that's the way that the state sets it up to do.
Okay.
So it's almost a formality just to keep the thing going, so that people have the option to do that. And I guess it's probably more economical in general if they're providing internet service and cable service also than if they were only doing one. Now, one of the things that we've seen so far in the results is that a very large majority of people do still get their internet from Comcast. Even if they don't do cable and even if they have lots of streaming services, their internet still comes from Comcast.
Yeah, well, Ken, there's very little option as far as internet, other than Comcast in this town.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
we're almost a captive audience to that. I mean, what you describe, I mean, we stopped cable in this house years ago. And we're just doing phone and internet, and we do other streaming stuff. And we get a lot of DVDs from the library, so we're part of that group that's I think Comcast needs to understand that, and they need to figure this out if they want to have a long-term business plan, because I think it's
Right.
they're
Yeah.
only hurting themselves in the long run.
Well, part of the problem we don't have good cellular service throughout Bolton. So if you did, we wouldn't rely on Comcast so much. And there's always, I don't know who's going to control the 5G that comes through town, because that's going to require some infrastructure. But if it's not Comcast, that would be an alternative. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but as Ken points out, legally, this has got to be a 10-year contract.
Yeah. Well,
So,
Yeah, and we haven't discussed 5G with them. I don't really know. I mean, they didn't share their business plan with us, and you can imagine why they wouldn't want to. But I would think that they would be really scratching their heads as to how they're going to proceed with all of this.
Yeah.
And then in the And then if you go down one notch, I guess, in terms of what people have and stuff, we also asked questions about what people knew about Bolton Access TV and how they use it. So there's a service that's being provided with some of the money from Comcast. It provides your meetings to people. It provides the school committee meetings to people. There's other stuff. Many people have heard of it. Most people don't watch it. You don't have to have cable in order to watch what's on either channel 8 or channel 99, and that's a good thing, I guess. And so people can access that. But there's not a tremendous audience for any of those things, even though there's a public service that we're trying to provide with that. So that's
Right.
another part of the dilemma that we're dealing with in all of this.
Comcast currently providing a high def channel?
Not for, no, they're not.
It was in the Stowe Independent that their cable committee negotiated a high def channel
And
as part of
it's,
the agreement.
and it's certainly possible that we'll be able to do that. That is one thing that it's possible for us to do. We're somewhat behind where most people are in terms of the signal that goes to the head end for Comcast to broadcast anyway. And we've had discussions with them over the years. And so that's certainly something that we can include in it, but it's also something that we would, at least if history is right, that we would have to pay for. But that is something that we are definitely looking at to have both HD and to make sure that our signals are all digital in what goes in and out.
Great, thank you.
Well, I guess picking up on a previous point, the fact that you have everything pretty much on YouTube channels, in theory, you don't necessarily need the Comcast, channels or the Comcast access in order to be able to broadcast what you have. You can do it entirely on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, we were talking about that the other night, a few of us, and it's not clear what that would mean. Whether what we give up by not having those channels, since we can provide the information, but I don't know whether that would be a negotiating point with Comcast, that if we, for example, gave up one of the channels, whether they would like that and perhaps give us additional revenue to be able to use it on the YouTube side. I'm just not sure.
Right.
We can talk with them, but it's
yeah.
It's a tough area though.
Yeah, I guess this all really boils down to, the number of cable subscribers in town, and how that affects the revenue coming in to keep your operation afloat.
Right.
That's basically what we're talking about here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Does
The other
Comcast
thing-
give you any information about how many people ever watch the town channels?
They don't know to that level. They know, I believe, how many subscribers there are and things of that sort. And they tell us the number of subscribers in a letter every year, I think it is, when they make a specific payment that's based on that. But they don't keep statistics of that. We have tried, and maybe again, this is a point of negotiation, but we have tried to have the schedules for our channels be included on their guide, and they won't do that for anybody. It just says that it's a local channel, but you can't get any of the programming that they're having it. So you've got to go to our channel to find that out. So it's something we will continue to discuss with them and see what we can work on.
Okay.
So far, and I noticed you signed off on the quarterly number recently, and that was not that much different from what it's been recently, and so that's a good thing. So it's still staying, if it stays in the $26,000 a quarter range, then we pretty well are able to cover the costs, I think, of running the station. But if it keeps going down, then we've got to find some other way to generate some revenue to keep things going.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, one thing we did include in the survey that maybe will be of some interest is we listed a whole bunch of maybe 20 or 25 kinds of local issues or goings on that would they be interested in seeing any of those on TV. And there were a surprising number of ones that people said that they would be interested in seeing. So it's possible that we could work something out with some local groups to use them more often and to maybe use our stations as a bulletin board or a way of, a non-Facebook community. It's sort of like the community Facebook page, except more public than that even. Who knows? But that's something that we can talk more about if there is programming that people would find interesting and or want to put up themselves.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Ken. I know this is not an easy road here for you, but we appreciate you taking it on, you and the other members of the committee.
Okay, did any of the rest of you guys have anything you wanted to add to what I said? Okay, so
I think the
okay.
only thing I would want to add is there is like a contractual maximum amount in the thing where they can give us only a certain percentage, and then after that it's capped by the state. So
Right. Yeah, and that's essentially what we're getting. So that doesn't give us a huge amount of room to negotiate.
All
Okay.
right. Well, thank you very much.
All
We
right.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay,
Keep us updated on any new events.
okay, well, thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay.
Thank
See ya.
you. All right. Next up is an update on Chapter 90 road paving plan from the Department of Public Works Director, Randy Heglin. Randy, are you with us?
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned difficult roads, so that's a good segue into
Yes.
this. It had been mentioned recently that the board was interested in seeing what Randy's Chapter 90 spending plan is, and the paving plan for the next year. Randy's had this ready to go for a while now. As you saw before, he's had a study done, which I think was very comprehensive. So he's got quite a bit of information for you tonight.
Great.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for meeting with me this evening.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
Good, good. I'm gonna leave my video off only because I have bandwidth issues with internet tonight for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we all are. So thank you.
Yeah, Don, maybe a month or so ago, Don asked me about, paving, and we had talked about it previously, and I pretty much had the list done for this year. And I think Jenny's provided that list to y'all.
Mhm.
You can see it's a pretty expansive list, pretty expensive. I was ready to advertise it out, and Don and I had a conversation, and it was just about the middle of the time that oil and prices of oil and gas and everything were spiraling out of control. So we debated, and I recommended that we hold off a year, don't advertise this year, instead put it out over the winter, and hopefully we'll get more favorable prices. I mean, around that time that I was looking at it, the town of Oxford had a bid opening, and their prices range between $120 and $135 a ton. Now, bear in mind, a couple of years ago, we were paying $60 a ton.
Wow.
So we're not going to get much bang for the buck at double the cost.
Yeah.
So Don had mentioned the pavement management program evaluation that was done. It was actually done by my predecessor, but I think it's a pretty good indication of the condition of the roads in town. And I think Jenny as well provided you a copy of that. What that is consultant went over every road and evaluated each road and scaled each road on a scale of 1 to 100. And the average network, which is the road network, it's called, was about 74. Was what's called the pavement condition index. That's the way I learned it. The consultant called it an RSR, a road surface rating, being the same thing. It's rated on the same 0 to 100 scale, 0 being the worst, 100 being a perfect road, just after it was resurfaced. An average, the town's network was a 74, which isn't too bad. But if you turn to, Jenny, if you want to put the last page of the handout on the pavement management program. The consultant looked at a forecast model of what is necessary to spend to maintain a constant road surface. That page right there, that's great. To maintain a constant RSR, or pavement condition index, keeping it at that 75. And if you look at the graph on the right-hand side, our current allotment of Chapter 90 dollars is about $290,000. And you can see over 5 years that on the y-axis, the pavement condition index is starting to drop. Which means we're losing ground. At 350,000, which is the next line up, it's still losing. The level line is 450,000. So theoretically, that is the amount of money that we should be allocating every year for pavement risk, pavement rehab and replacement and maintenance. We're spending the 291. To raise the road surface rating, you can see it increases as you would imagine. The more money you spend, the higher the road surface rating is and the better condition of the roads. Going back to the list of roads that we propose to pave, which Jenny, I think it's probably, you showed it as the last page. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, perfect on the left. It's awesome. You can see most of the roads that I chose to do work on were all below what our average pavement condition index is. We did a driving around, doing a lot of survey, Rick and I, and decided that, we thought would be, made the most amount of sense based on the condition of the road, traffic, resident complaints, things of that nature. Also workload for the department. How many potholes are we patching? How many things of that nature are we doing on the road? And the worst road in town is Sargent Road, without question. That has gone to a point where there's the only hope for bringing it back to what it needs to be is to reclaim the road, and that gets very expensive. But if you look down, you see these few roads here that we're proposing to do. It totals at $130 a ton. It totals over $700,000 in cost. Our Chapter 90 available funding right now is about $802,000. So that was kind of my target number when I prepared this list. I didn't want to, obviously we can't spend more than what we've got allocated through Chapter 90. It's been a few years since we've spent any money, considerable money out of Chapter 90. I've allocated some of the Chapter 90 costs for a new truck, a new loader, and also the design for the Forbush Mill Road culvert project. All three things that are needed. And that left a balance of the $802,000. So that was kind of the number I was shooting for when I developed this list. There was some additional work. If you look at the very last one, Harvard Road, which has a pavement condition index of between 58 and 70, which is basically from number 75 Harvard Road all the way out to the town line. If you scroll over a little bit, Jenny, I was looking at just doing a rubber chip or a chip seal or something like that. And the cost to do that alone is $171,000. And that was before the asphalt escalation. I got the price. So, I mean, you can see it's a pretty expensive ordeal to do any pavement today. Hopefully the markets will settle down and level out somewhat, and we'll get more favorable, hopefully more favorable pricing in the over the winter and early spring when contractors are setting their work for next year. Any questions?
No, I appreciate
Yeah.
the detail that you're providing us. Obviously none of these roads are going to get better over the winter. So I hope, I guess you're going to have to at least do some part of this list next year, regardless of what happens to the prices. But I think your decision to see how much you can get done in the spring with spring pricing is I'm fine with that.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it as well. Yeah.
I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, the pavement condition, as you're correct, decreases over time. Every year, pavement condition does not increase. Hold on a second. Telemarketers. Probably trying to sell me solar or something, which I already have on the roof. The pavement list is always a fluid list. It's never set in stone until you actually go and do it. For instance, if you notice, Hudson Road is not on this list. Last winter, we did just a very small patch of an area that we were having. The pavement was just unraveling. It was creating a huge maintenance issue for us. So we went in and just, did in the winter, which is unusual. You usually don't want to do it in the winter, but as a means to stabilize the roadway, we went in and paved a small section just in the one travelway. And I wanted to do Hudson Road as an overlay or a mill and fill or whatever, but it just didn't fit within the budget. I said, well, I could probably wait another year to see how that goes. And I kind of have my fingers crossed that this year, Mass DOT came in and paved all of 110. I'm kind of hoping they're going to come back next year and come up with a similar program with some of their surplus funds and say, hey, we'll do Route 85 for you too. But I'm not holding my breath right now.
But 85 is owned by the state. Is that correct?
It is not. No, it's owned by the town.
Owned by the town. And 110 is not owned by the town?
110 is owned by the town. And it was a state numbered route, and the state came through with a special program to assist municipalities with state number routes.
Okay.
So that's why they did 110 all the way through Lancaster, I think almost to the Clinton line.
Okay. All right.
I would just like to point out one part of the larger report because I thought it was very interesting. I want to share it with a bunch of people. And that is that when this road assessment was done several years ago, images were captured of the roadway for every 10 feet for all 60 plus miles of Bolton roads. And the images were then run through a computer that used machine learning to identify the cracking, potholes, depressions, patches with other issues like that. And then the company that did this went out and kind of verified manually the things that the computer identified as the worst sections in there. So this was my first indication of our DPW department using some of this through outside consultants, using some of this very sophisticated technology to manage our roads. And I think I just want to use this opportunity to get that word out.
No, it's great. It's absolutely great.
So I'm all set. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, again, it's just an additional tool that we use to establish our paving lists. you know, in communities with water and sewer, if there's a water main break, obviously those issues have effects on what paving is. But, you know, this pavement management has come a long way over the last few years. I did this before with a different company. So, I mean, it's becoming fairly routine. Chapter 90 pays for it, pays for its updates. So typically you do an update on your roadway system about every 5 years. You know, you take another snapshot look of your road system to see what your network is doing over time.
Okay. I guess, Randy, one of the bottom lines is that essentially what you're telling us is that we're going to need more money than less in order to at least maintain the roads at some acceptable level. And I think that's loud and clear. And I think that that's very important with a couple of things that I'm going to be bringing up a little bit later in tonight's meeting. But, you know, we need to be spending a little bit more money on roads, and we have to find some way to get that. Anything else from anyone? Otherwise,
No,
we'll
I'm
move
all
on.
set. Thank you.
Randy, thank you very much. This is
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Randy.
gentlemen.
very
Thank you, and
enlightening.
Madam,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep, bye-bye.
Okay, next up is an update from Fire Chief Legendre on 24-hour staffing and the staffing model. Chief, are you with us?
I am. Good evening.
Hey, Chief, how you doing?
I'm doing well. And yourselves?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Good. Good. So as you stated, here to talk about the 24/7 coverage. I'm pretty excited with the totals that we have come back with first quarter versus second quarter. We had predicted that in the first report that within a year, an additional 424 calls. Broken down per quarter, it's 106 calls. We actually did 144 additional calls in the second quarter compared to the first quarter. So we saw a 65% increase as we kind of thought we were going to by maintaining the coverage 24/7. We have a difference of 57 calls to Lancaster in that same time, 26 to Harvard, 5 to Clinton, 13 to Berlin, and 40 just in our own town of Bolton. So we have seen the increase. And the greatest thing, I think, we saw our response time go in town this is just from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. for medicals. Our out of station time is 90 seconds, which is meeting national standards. And our arrival is 5 minutes, comparative to 16 minutes prior to our 24/7 coverage.
Great.
Running the
Excellent.
numbers today, I was a little bit shocked and ran them again. And then the out of town, it's still in 90 seconds out of gate, which means out of the station from dispatch, and on arrival 7 minutes to those communities that I had previously mentioned. So overall, we have I've got a bunch of numbers next to me, so give me 1 second. 142 calls, greater in quarter number 2, if you will, versus quarter number 1. And if we equate that down, we have a new revenue of 45,825. Now that's for intercepts. That is for our own transports. So we have new revenue coming into the station as we expected when we made the jump to 24/7 coverage.
Great.
We are staffed. We've had a couple days that we've run just straight BLS, but other than that, it's been under 5 since we've started. But the ambulance has been covered 24/7, either with 2 basics, EMTs, or a paramedic and a basic. So it's been very productive.
Excellent. No, it sounds absolutely great. Sounds great.
I agree.
Any questions on we're gonna keep the model going. It's working. It's working well now. We, just as an aside, we kept that second ambulance, and we had talked about 3 calls. We pay for it. We're up to 7 multiple calls, and we're up to 3 that both ambulances and the paramedic truck were all tied up on multiple calls, multiple patient scenes. So it has done exactly what we predicted it to, in shortened time waiting from an ambulance from another community.
That's great. No,
Good.
that's super. That's super. No, it sounds all good. So keep it up. It's great.
Well, I do have something to share with the board that continues the good news. We did receive a award letter today that we did receive assistance to firefighter grant in the total of $39,494 to replace
Great.
1 truck full of fire hose, nozzles, thermal imaging cameras. And that of that 39,000, the Fed share is 37,613.33, and the town's 5% is $1,880 for close to $40,000 worth of equipment that will be going on to the new fire engine when it arrives from Seagrave. So we'll
That's
have
great.
everything on a new truck. So
And
When
when
is-
is that new truck going to arrive?
Yeah, when's the party?
yeah, well, we're not in the category of the manufacturer coming back for $250,000 as it's happened in the area. They couldn't get axles for the longest time. So we were expecting to be in Wisconsin for the final in October. It looks like it'll be pushed back into November. I've been in contact with our sales representative, and they are going to be out there next week, and they'll give me an on-site up to date. But all of the agreements that we had to keep our end and get everything back within 24 hours was, so we're keeping the schedule as tight as we can, and we have not been moved from the process. So I would expect it November, December at this point. So we're a little bit off, but not tremendously off. I have a colleague that has a truck that was supposed to be due in this month. They were told now it's going to be December of 2023.
Oh,
So,
Woof.
wow.
so we're keep fingers crossed. Let's hope we're staying on
Yeah.
somewhat of a track.
So this is just idle question sort of, but how does that truck get delivered? Do they load it on the back of another truck, or does somebody drive it here and then it gets painted when it's within 100 miles of Bolton, or?
No, so what's going to happen, it will be driven from Wisconsin here. It will not be lettered, it'll be painted. Myself and one of the firefighters that went out for the pre-build meeting will go back out, make sure that it's built to our spec. They will drive it back out to Massachusetts to our vendor in Lawrence. At that time, they will letter it up for Bolton how we want it, and then they will drive it to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Must be interesting driving a fire truck cross country,
I'm thinking
because it's fully loaded at that point, right?
No, it's empty, no equipment on it.
Okay, so the ladders and the hoses and all that stuff gets put on in Lawrence?
Correct, or at our station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but-
It'll be fun to do that.
It's governed at 62. I'm not sure I want
Oh,
to
is
drive
it?
to Wisconsin.
It's not necessarily that fun. Like if you have a chassis cab and you just drive the chassis cab without the back end, it's not a fun ride.
All right.
I've been there and done that. So no.
Now, the chief
Wow.
continues to do an outstanding job, and his reward is Wisconsin in December. Way to go, chief.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don. So,
Well,
All right, it
Jeff,
sounds good.
Jeff, it all sounds really good. Jeff, thank you very much. You're doing an
Thanks, Jeff.
outstanding job.
Thank you. Have a
We
great evening.
greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, you have a good evening.
You as well.
Good night.
All right, take care. All right, next up, and we are actually 5 minutes ahead. I tend to keep us that way, at least 5 minutes and more. Review of the Live Golf Tournament from Par 5 Golf Tournament Director Mike Goggin, along with the temporary sign discussion.
Good evening, y'all. How are you?
Mike, how are you?
Apologies, I've managed to lose my voice this week. Just,
No
just
problem.
still kind of catching up on things here, but no, overall, really pleased with how things worked out, and I know that it took a lot of effort from everyone. So, first and foremost, just want to say thank you for the support and the patience and the understanding, and I hope. It sounds like, generally speaking, our feedback has been really positive. I had said it before, but I think, it's really hard to kind of, share the scope and scale of this thing until you're actually sitting in front of it. So I was really proud of what we put together. I think we got really lucky with the weather. And we had really lucky with the actual competition as well. Great finish, good entertainment afterwards, and fairly well received from my understanding. So yeah, just really pleased with how it went. Obviously, hiccups are inevitable, but I think relatively speaking, from what I've dealt with on first time events, I think we were pretty far ahead of a lot of stuff. More than I would have expected. I think we did pretty well, above, I guess, my expectations. In terms of just having some of the hiccups, and I think seeing these previous events, specifically how they set up, how they work out, and trying to plan for that. I feel like we did a really good job with that.
No, you're right. Absolutely right, Mike. I mean, I think from, at least from my perspective, I didn't see much of any difference in the town, with the influx of the spectators and whatnot. I think the event went off pretty much without a hitch. Very little or nothing in the way of incidents. So I think from that perspective, I think all the planning that was done with you folks and the international and the state agencies, and of course, obviously with Don Lowe, Chief LaJonra, and Chief Nelson, I think we couldn't have asked for anything better relative to how the event went. So given the criticality of certain aspects of obviously of what you guys were dealing with. So
right. No, I appreciate that. I think that it did obviously it did take a big part of all the support locally, and I think that being a local kid here, being local to the community, and kind of really trying to push and reinforce both on my side and locally, how much we wanted this thing to feel local to the international guests, but also feel international to the locals. So I think that we were successful in that, and I realize that it's. I think that the traffic, the planning, all that stuff, I think it worked out fairly well, apart from obviously my full apologies for the signage snafu. I know that we were supposed to get back to that. Had a lot going. I missed that one, so that's 100% on me.
No, that's fine. No, I was the one who noticed it and mentioned it to Don. I'm sort of a stickler for signs, and
completely.
Everybody follows the rules, so obviously you know what the plan is. Obviously there was nothing we could do at the time, and but that when you come in next year, we'll just have a little chat.
100%.
No problem.
Absolutely.
No problem with that.
Yeah, but no, I think the numbers were good. I think we got up to just over 2,000 cars at the fairgrounds, which is about where we were targeting. It was pretty went pretty well there. I think we got a little bottled up on Saturday, because I think we folks are starting to learn that I think that they get in right before play, so we got hit really hard about 12 to 1. So it slowed down a little bit, just getting folks shuttled over. But really, other than that, I think everything went really, really well on the transportation side. And yeah, like I always say, as long as you don't hear people, saying things about how it's not working, it means that it is. And usually it's if you don't hear anything, it's good news. So we did pretty well on that. It felt like.
Chairman, if I may, I could say that I've never witnessed firsthand anything like the planning meetings and the preparation that went into that tournament. You think you know what goes on, and you really don't if you don't see it firsthand. And even with what I saw, I'm sure there's infinitely more that I still have no idea what went on. So certainly a major event to plan. And I think that if we were sitting around August 1st and someone said the only real complaint that the town government side would have is that there wasn't permission gotten for temporary signs, I think everybody would have signed up for that.
Yeah.
But that being said, and I'm not saying that you should do this, but I think it's something to keep in front of you, is that this board and every board prior to you does take the temporary signage very seriously. And you have insisted on many things in the past, and I'm sure you will again. And I know that the local people understand that. It would be within your purview, if you wanted, to issue a fine not to exceed $300 for the signs going out without permission. And I'm not implying in any way that Mike flaunted rules that he knew about. I'm not saying that at all. Many times people do things and they just don't know what they don't know. But knowing that this is something that you want to stay on top of with future businesses and future events, I'm just throwing out that you could do that if you chose to.
Yeah, completely. I don't want to set a bad precedent, on behalf of this event. So I'm totally fine with that.
Well, how are the other?
Well, okay,
oh.
in that case, I think, we do have an issue of consistency here.
Yeah.
And that's
Completely.
my point. That's my
Right.
point.
Yeah.
That I don't think the board wants to create the impression that a large event can come into town and it
Yeah.
won't be held to the same standard that a very small business would be held to.
Completely.
Absolutely.
Right. Well,
And do we simply need a motion to assess the fine?
Yes, and then we will reach into Par 5's pocket and extract the $300, however we need to do that.
All right, I will move to assess a fine for the temporary signs violation of $300 against Par 5.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Sorry, Mike.
Um,
Hey,
yeah,
don't apologize.
No, thank you very
I'm
much,
not
Mike, for,
apologizing.
no, thank you. I appreciate it. I know you were very responsive to issues around the sign placement and stuff like that, so I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Of course.
No, great.
Yeah,
So I'm assuming we'll be having this again next year.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. Nothing's set in stone. Nothing for or against yet. We know that we're looking at 9 events next year, but that schedule is still in flux. So
Okay.
as soon as we know, you will know.
Sounds like a plan. No, thank you very much. No, you guys
And-
did a great
I'm sorry.
job.
I have
appreciate-
I just have one question and one comment. The question is regarding the money that's been donated back into community organizations. And I know a lot of people have been asking where that has gone. And I'm just curious if there will eventually be a public notification or list of what nonprofits received those funds.
Yeah, there is a list.
I actually have that list, Emily, and I can
Okay.
send it out.
Is that something that will be made public to our community? I guess is my question.
Yes, yeah, there was a public release on that list that I believe I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday of tournament week that it was released to the public. I'll be happy to forward that over.
Oh, great. And then the other comment isn't specific to I guess this is kind of a comment to the international and regarding the event. I'm a resident of Ballville, and I just wanted to note that there is still a little bit of cleanup that needs to happen on Ballville Road, especially in the Schultz's farm field that was used for shuttle drop-off. And I'm assuming that's going to be taken care of, but I just wanted to make note of it during our meeting as we're discussing just how things have gone. And there are tarps and trash and just some privacy screen that's still there. And I would guess that it will be cleaned up, but I just wanted to make note of it and just hope that that will be taken care of just as part of the final kind of cleanup process of the whole event.
Of course. Yeah, it's actually scheduled for tomorrow. We have a team going there tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
So Mike, when do you plan, when is the course planned on being opened back for members?
Oh, it's already well open, and I think we should be, we're almost entirely off the golf course. I think we'll probably be clear by Saturday. We'll be loading trucks and getting stuff out of parking lots and cleaning up, but the kind of fortunate and unfortunate situation is that Chicago is right behind us and is happening this week. Round one is tomorrow, so there wasn't a lot of time. So we had to hustle on Tuesday to get a whole bunch of trucks out headed to Chicago. We've got a little bit of a stretch between on our side Chicago and Doral, but yeah, we moved pretty quickly. We should be mostly clear by the middle of next week. I think entirely clear.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Chairman, I just wanted to close by saying that in all seriousness, I found Mike to be the consummate professional to work with. And if the tour does come back next year, I hope he's the tournament director. I would look forward to working with him.
I hope so as well.
Absolutely. Yep. No, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Really
good luck with the rest of the tour.
Thank you kindly.
I'm sure you'll be glad when it's over this year.
I get some sleep now. Just trying to get back to normal.
All right. Have a good one.
Y'all too. Cheers.
Thank you. Good night now. All right. Next up is probably the most important part of our meeting, which is the town administrator report. Don Lowe, please take it over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two things for tonight. One is that I thought it was time to give the public an update on the MassWorks grant, which, as I believe everyone knows, is the project to redo the intersection at the high school at Main Street and Green Road and Forbush Mill Road. As of this afternoon, the engineering is about 50% complete. And so we're on track with where we were hoping to be. We are still planning on having all the bid documents ready, going out for bid this winter, and be able to get the project started when the weather breaks in the spring.
Okay.
Certainly we'll coordinate with the school around all the details around that and communicate well in advance, when the project would be starting, but things are looking good right now. Jenny, I know I talked about this a few months ago, but just to kind of get you thinking along a certain line and doing what I like to call upward delegation, which was what my staff does to me all the time. So I don't get to delegate to the board very often, but it would be great if you could start thinking about the type of signage, or if you'd want signage in the middle of the roundabout. Now, obviously, not something of this size. This is way too big. But the concept of a welcome to Bolton sign that would fit in the roundabout with, flowers, some sort of vegetation possibly. Again, not to solve for it tonight, But I think it's a nice opportunity to have something that's aesthetically pleasing, that would also welcome people to the town, and, you know, indicate what a beautiful town it is and a welcoming town it is. So just some thoughts to, you know, start thinking about some things, or maybe as you're driving around, you may notice things in other communities that you think might fit in here. So when the time is right, the board can decide what, if anything, they'd like to see in the middle.
Okay.
Hey, Don,
Yes.
if you could just send us some information on, we'll say, the general diameter that we have to play with here and the height.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't given it any thought, but yeah.
Okay, no, that'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'll work
that would
with-
be very helpful.
I'll work with Randy on that. And then next, the latest Derby Field update. We had we've had a couple of team meetings. The most recent one was this morning, and we had it at Derby Field. Invited Rob Frieswick to join us, the NRSD Facilities Director. Rob is always very helpful, and today was no exception. Rob, as he is able to, will be attending all of our future meetings, so we keep the school directly involved and get their input. For a meeting in October, I'm not sure which one yet, but for a meeting in October, I think we'll be coming in with our concept as to what we're proposing we do. When we shared it with Rob today, he was very much on board and had some good suggestions, as always. As I may or may not have said at the previous meeting, but even if I did, it bears repeating. We are evaluating grant opportunities for what we want to achieve, with our goal being that at the end of the project, there would be little to no money paid on the part of the taxpayers, with the exception of maybe if we have to do some matching for some grants, you know, so we can at least leverage some grant money. But we're going to try really hard to have a minimal impact to the taxpayers here. And in a perfect world, we bring a project forward where we don't need to ask for any ARPA funds or an article at town meeting. If we do, we do, but we're going to try to minimize that. So we're getting as creative as we can be, and hope to be able to share that detail with you in October.
Sounds good.
So that's all I have this evening, unless anyone has any questions.
I don't. Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
Don.
right.
Thank you.
Next up, running minutes ahead, select board business. Do we have any public service announcements this evening?
Nope.
None.
Mr. Chairman, I actually do.
All right, well, you go first, then I'll go.
Well, I'll defer to the chairman always.
No, please, Don, please. No. Beauty
Okay.
before age. Go.
All right, leaving that alone, I will just, I was contacted by someone that shared some information with me that I thought some folks in town would find useful, and also just to raise the level of awareness. It's sort of in the form of a press release, but it says congregation, and I apologize for pronunciation if I don't pronounce things correctly. Congregation Beth Elohim Acton is thrilled to announce the appointment of Rabbi Ibraham David as our new rabbi effective August 1st. Rabbi David brings with him a wide range of pulpit and community experience. Most recently, he served as rabbi for Temple Shalom in Medford, where he strengthened and expanded membership, revitalized the religious school, and fostered a welcoming community. I know that many, or at least several members of the Bolton community attend this congregation, go to temple there, and I just thought it would be nice, since I became aware of this, to welcome the rabbi to the area and raise the level of awareness that he's here. So I just wanted to, on behalf of the town, I wanted to welcome him to the area.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. I have a couple. One obviously is my perennial Boy Scouts bottles and cans. Please segregate out your deposit bottles and cans. And there's the little red barn as you crest the hill coming into the transfer station. One, it provides a great revenue for the Boy Scouts. It's probably their primary revenue source. And also it's helping to eliminate a recyclable stream in what gets dumped into the big bins. As you know, we have issues in terms of lowering of prices on recyclable. So anything to help the Boy Scouts and us would be great. The second thing that I wanted to bring up is a year or two ago, probably about 2 years ago, when we had when COVID was in front of everybody, and we had issues with remote learning, in-school learning, and the like. A lot of parents reached out to me in Bolton and in Stowe about that. But what also came across was issues with special education. Parents who were struggling with their kids trying to get special education programs or getting their kids enrolled in special education, and some of the issues that they were having with the district. It was noted to me quite a bit that there was a tremendous amount of litigation going on between the district and individual parents on trying to get their kids into special education. And as I said, I talked with quite a number of families at that time period. And what I'd like to ask is if things have changed. We have a new administration within the school. We have a somewhat different cast of individuals within the school committee. So hopefully things are better. But having said that, if folks are having issues with special education, getting their children in special education, or having issues relative to the district litigating with parents, I'd like you, if you feel comfortable, to reach out to me. I'd like to hear what's going on. I think this is going to dovetail with a conversation that we're going to have the next agenda item. But I want to hear your issues. At the time, 2 years ago, there was not much interest on the part of the school committee to deal with this. There was not much interest in some of the other select boards to deal with this. And we did take this up as a board. And Mr. Sikansky, you were there as well when we did all this. So if you have issues and you have problems and you're not getting any results, I'm in the phone book. You can get my email address from the website. Please reach out to me. I want to hear any issues that you have, and we'll see what we can do to help with all those folks. So that's it for me as far as public service announcements. Next up is future agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I was wrong. I actually do have one more public service announcement, and it's a sad one, just to recognize
Yes.
the passing of Ruabam, who was our most recent recipient of the Boston Post cane as the oldest member of the community. Earlier this year, she celebrated her 100th birthday and had I'm sure a wonderful full life. But I just wanted on behalf of the town to note her passing and to recognize that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. Yes, I neglected to mention that. Yeah, our condolences to the family, and we'll be figuring out who we need to pass the torch to relative to the cane. So thank you very much. Next up on our agenda, our future agenda items discussion. Anyone have any items that they would like to potentially bring forth.
Not at this
Emily?
time.
Not
I
this
do
time?
not. Thank you.
Okay, well, let me, when we reorganized the board back in May, I made a couple of comments, and I just wanted to reemphasize some of that this evening. I'm going to be asking Don to add an agenda item at a future, well, a number of agenda items at a future select board meeting, hopefully this first one, perhaps the next one. I think we need to get in front of the Neshoba Regional School District budget. And the reason we need to do that is that this past year, the increase in the Bolton's assessment far exceeded our ability as far as Prop 2.5 in terms of raising money to be able to pay for that. I have said now for a number of years that that is not sustainable. And of course, this year certainly is proof in the pudding. Don provided me some detailed information on the FY23 budget that Kirk Dowling had provided to him. And I found some information which was fairly interesting, which we'll bring up at that particular meeting. But we need to discuss the budget and how their budget and how we're going to manage that within the town. We cannot continue on the path that we're on. I would like to have a meeting with the select board, and then I would also like to engage our school committee members and have a discussion with them. And hopefully we can have something where we can engage the entire school committee and perhaps at least one or two of the other towns that are part of the district. So that'll be coming up in a future meeting, hopefully the next select board meeting. And not in any particular order, I think we also need to have a discussion with the Boy Scouts relative to bottles and cans at the transfer station. I had a meeting with the Boy Scouts years and years ago on ways that we could encourage our residents to segregate their deposit bottles and cans from the stream. And we need to revisit that, since really nothing really has happened with that. Another meeting that I would like to put on the agenda at some point in the not too distant future. I've talked with a number of folks, at least one on the Council of Aging, and we have a number of seniors in town that are doing work as far as the spread program, where they are able to work and get some
Strip
relief.
program?
STREP program, sorry, get relief on their taxes through working for the town. There's a limit on that, but there are some seniors who might want to work a little bit longer. And this individual reached out to me and said, well, what can we do? I think we need to have a discussion with the Council on Aging as to whether or not there are some avenues to be able to provide some money relative to a budget line item, whether or not that work is needed, and if it's needed, how we can possibly fund that to provide some of these seniors with additional avenues beyond what they can get in that program in order to service the town. I know there are a number of seniors who would like to do that, so that's another one. And then finally, I think we need to have an update meeting done with our DPW director. We've talked in the past about how we can better manage the folks who are using our facility relative to garbage. We've talked about some things about relative to using special bags for trash as opposed to the stickers, and perhaps having some resident identification on that. And I think we need to have a meeting to update all of us on where that stands. So those are some of the things that I would like to do as future agenda items. But certainly the most important one, and hopefully the next meeting, is the regional school district budget. Sorry if that took too long, but I'm done.
I'm fine. I look forward to having those future discussions, just as long as they're not all on the same night.
No,
Um,
no. We'll spread them out.
But, I just want to throw this out because on the transfer station discussion, we have a lot of people moving into town, and they come from, I think, a larger places where trash pickup is just expected. But and maybe Randy, the DPW director, has some ideas on this, but is there anything we can do to sell people on more people using the transfer station? Because that would help the Boy Scouts. It would help a whole bunch of other things in terms of having a larger population use it. The other thing is, I believe there's an increasing amount of trash that's blowing around the streets due to people leaving their trash bins out maybe a night before. I think there's been maybe an uptick in wild animals taking advantage of that stuff. And if we could get a reduction in that, I think everyone in town would be happier. But is there anything we can do, and not to discuss it tonight, but is there anything we can do to persuade more people to use the transfer station as opposed to having trash pickup?
Well, I think that's probably a good discussion to have. I mean, if I occasionally take a look at Bolton Facebook page. Is there someone who's not muted?
But I was like, if I could.
Emily, are you not muted?
No, she.
Thank you. I have noticed an uptick of dissatisfaction on some of the trash collecting organizations throughout town who don't come when they're supposed to come. And so maybe this is an opportunity to opine on the benefits of using the Bolton. I mean, if nothing else, with the exception of having to drive to Forbush Mill Road, it's a great deal over trash collection. I mean, I did a quick look on some of the services offered and what they charge, and we're an absolute bargain over some of the trash collection services. So I think we should explore that, but I think the issue at hand is compliance. And
don't disagree. I'm just trying to piggyback on top of that.
Yeah, compliance and eliminating out-of-towners who come in who think they can get a free ride. But yes, we'll look at all that good stuff. I think that's worthwhile.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so next up, appoint the town planner, Todd Miller, to the Mappick Mass Area Planning Council through 2024.
Our town planner is always our representative to MAPC.
Yep.
And so we just need to get Todd officially appointed.
Sounds
So
good to me.
I will move to appoint Todd Miller, our town planner, as Bolton's representative to the Mass Area Planning Council through 2024.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is to approve the bills and the payroll warrants for, and this is a long list, folks, W23-1A, W23-2, and W23-2A, W23-3, and W23-3A, W23-4, and W23-4A, W23-5, and W23-5A.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
And as far as minutes, from the latest from Jenny as of 3:37 PM this afternoon, plus one more, I guess. We have regular session minutes of July 14th, 2022, of which there were no changes. August 4th, 2022, of which there are no changes. And August 25th, of which we have heard from Emily. So we are good with those as well.
So moved. I move to approve those.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we have executive session minutes, which we will approve during our executive session.
Please.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we will be going into, we're 1 minute behind, honest. All right, we'll have to make it up.
Somebody spent a lot of time on agenda items.
All
But-
valid
but
agenda
even-
items.
Even
Dan.
though all my hot wins were only 1 minute late. There you go.
It was worthwhile, though. It was
It was.
worthwhile.
It was worth it.
It was a robust
All good
discussion.
things.
All right, executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Teamsters Union, Local 170, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the Board of Selectmen, and the chair so declares, and to approve executive session minutes, and then we will not be coming out of executive session to go into open session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Winner,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you. Give me just a few minutes to move everybody in.